Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
All right, time for our guy, Mike McFeely, joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. Great to see you. I know you saw we had another one of those games last night. The Kansas City Cagers beat something called Cavalry College, whatever, by 100?
Yes.
Slightly outscoring.
119-19, I believe.
Slightly
was the
outscoring
score.
the Bison did to Oak Hills Christian last year.
Yes.
By 94.
I don't know why we do this. I don't.
Right?
I mean, that was your question last night. Is what
are we getting out of that?
What purpose does that serve? Yep. The head coach of whatever school is on the winning end of that is saying, "Well, we get a win."
Yep. That's okay. Great.
Yep.
That's end of that discussion, I guess.
But I mean, I'll be honest here, and I no offense to anybody at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, but does anybody even care?
Right. Yeah.
People up here got a little worked up last year.
Yep.
When North Dakota State beat, was it North Central?
Oak Hills.
Oak Hills Christian Academy up by Bemidji. People on here got a little worked up about what that was all about, and which just shows that people actually care.
Do care.
I don't know that anybody
point.
in Kansas City cares, or anybody in the Summit League cares. I just
win.
don't.
Yep. You have not been on since I did have Brett McMurphy on the show last week, who, of course, broke the story on the Action Network of reporting on that the Mountain West was considering North Dakota State. I asked him was there anything new? He said there hasn't been anything new there. He also said no news, maybe good news. I know there are Bison fans waiting for any sort of, but he also said, and I asked him that this could drag out for a while. This could go into the spring before we hear anything, which that would seem interminable on that.
So, and that was good. I watched that, and you and I have talked about it. I don't know that anybody had actually tried to contact the conference itself. So I did.
You contacted the Mountain West.
I contacted the Mountain West and said, do you have a comment on this? Can you confirm? Can you deny? I received the following statement from the Mountain West Commissioner's Office. Quote, the Mountain West continues to explore all opportunities and will not comment on its process. Now you laugh, which is fine.
Yep.
Now you laugh, as I did too, because I knew that's
coming.
We knew that was coming, right? But what do we always talk about when we talk about coaches?
You got to read between the lines.
You have to parse. The word I use is we have to parse. And maybe it's my conspiracy theory mind.
Can you read it again?
Yep. The Mountain West continues to explore all opportunities.
Okay.
And will not comment on its process.
Okay.
And so what I read into that, and this is, this is me parsing, is that North Dakota State's not the only one in the discussion. That's how I would read that. And so,
okay.
I don't know that McMurphy has mentioned any other schools.
Outside of Northern Illinois and Toledo.
Right. And his basis of his story was that the interest was waning from Northern Illinois and Toledo. I still think, and again, I still think that they're in the conversation, and I think maybe even again don't know.
Yeah,
just I want to make that clear.
Yep.
My guess is that there are others that we've talked about also still in the conversation. Right? We were sort of knocked sideways when Texas El Paso got in, and Kolpak he's gonna take that to his grave. That it's the
on UTEP, yes.
But it's Texas, and so. And by the way, I think if you dig into it a little bit, I think UTEP, there's a basis there that they're spending money on football.
That they think they can be good at football.
That they think they can be good.
Yeah.
And that's I think what we've always said is one of the standards is, and one of the problems for me with FCS right now, aside from, the Murray States being in the Valley, is like who's trying to be good at football.
Correct.
In a serious way. I'm not talking about let's play 3 pay games so we can raise $500,000. I mean, I'm talking about who is investing in infrastructure and in facilities and in Alston and in all of those things. The Missouri State coach, Ryan Beard, was up here. You were at the press conference, and he mentioned again the $100 million facility, which it's not.
It's not. It's half of that.
I thought it was only $30 million. Oh, wait. Inside joke. But he mentioned that. And he also mentioned, I watched his press conference yesterday, his follow-up.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yes.
Getting ready for the Jacks.
Getting ready for the Jacks. And the reporters down in Springfield were asking Ryan Beard about, okay, so you saw what
I did see this as
it's
well.
like.
Yep.
And he said, again, mentioned the facilities and mentioned the fact that he took his team around on a bus to show them what an FBS school looks like. And compared the practice facility to the Tennessee Titans facility.
Yep. I read that too.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if you're North Dakota State and you're in this conversation in the Mountain West, you got to be selling yourself, man.
You have to.
I mean, and nobody over there will talk to us about it. So I ran into the president a couple of times on Saturday night, and I saw him in his suite, and I said, "President Cook, Mountain West," and he went, "Oh, can't hear you." I mean, it's all he's not being a jerk. We're making a joke about it. I saw him outside the press conference after Tim Polisik's in the players' press conference, and I said, "Got to go catch that flight to Colorado Springs now?" And he just said, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and just smiled. And it's all, again, he's not being a dick. He's just
winking. It's a wink and nod on what's going on.
But I would hope that if the Northern Illinois and Toledo's and whomever else are still in the conversation, which I think that's my guess. That's what I parse out of that statement, is that there's others still in the discussion. Then I think it's
because they haven't said no yet either.
No,
that's important to distinct that.
I think it's incumbent upon North Dakota State to tell the presidents. I don't think so much the commissioner. I think that Gloria Navarez, I don't think she, like, I wrote that open letter to her.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she needed that prompting. I
needed to the other presidents.
I think it's the president.
I agree with you,
because that's where all this happens, right? This isn't
correct.
The commissioner isn't going North Dakota State or Northern Illinois. That she's the gatekeeper.
Yes,
she works at the behest of the presidents and what they want to do. And so if the presidents are still thinking about Northern Illinois or Toledo or Texas State or
Tarleton, remember Tarleton got thrown out there?
Yep. Although I don't know, I don't.
I know.
I think the FCS thing's a big thing.
Yeah, I think McMurphy. I asked him that too, and it seemed like that there's more to that than we initially anticipated.
I heard Brett say that, and I've made a handful of phone calls
in terms of the Sankey and Petiti deal.
No,
or just about the moving.
That's a part of it. That's a small part of it, or at least a portion of it. I think it's more the, we don't want to take an FCS team. We'd rather already take a team that's already
established FBS team.
And McMurphy mentioned that as well. If you go back and listen to your interview and the one he did on the radio state, the 1660 in town here, it was the Sankey stuff was part of it, and I think that's real.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think that they would rather just go for an FBS school. And so my point of all of this is, and I'm going to write about this later today when I can get my thoughts together off my exciting bowling night last night and clear that out of my head and move to the next day, is I think that North Dakota State, I invited the wrong person here. I may have to go back and write the column inviting
the president,
the president of Wyoming, the president
Vegas,
of UNLV, and say, look,
Nevada,
do the thing that Ryan Beard did, and drive around and go $55 million indoor facility. Yep. Ryan Beard mentioned the nutrition part of it, the food. We're not feeding our
Yes.
NDSU does that.
Yep.
NDSU has Alston. NDSU has cost of attendance.
As a collective.
NDSU has a collective.
Yep.
NDSU has the facility. It has its own weight room. Ryan Beard mentioned, we just want a room where we can meet without the science class having to kick us out at the top of the hour. I mean,
Yep.
and so NDSU has all of that.
Correct.
It's Ryan Beard used NDSU as an example of what an FBS
team looks like.
A group of 5 team looks
Right.
like. And so if the president of Nevada doesn't know that and thinks, well, you know, it's a hayseed school out in Fargo. No, in terms of football,
yeah.
it's
got their act together.
It's an FBS school. It's a group of 5 school.
Yep.
And so that's
The like-minded school like you.
That's reading an awful lot out of one sentence, but I think that's where it's at.
We got to go to break. Would you change your percentage on this happening now based on this?
Yeah. Yep.
Lower now?
Yeah. Yep. I think I said 70-30 last
when
week or the week before.
2 weeks ago when I asked you about it. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd flip that, but yeah, pretty close.
Okay.
Just sort of, I don't know, just,
Yeah.
you know.
Again, because there's also, and McMurphy said this, and we got to go, the Pac-12's not done yet either. I know that doesn't affect the established Mountain West schools because they signed that agreement, but Memphis is still, the Pac-12 is going to make another swipe at Memphis, I believe, to get them to go to that league because it's not done. And I still think there's going to be more shaking there of, okay, well, who's left? And then maybe, I don't think an American school is going to go to the Mountain West, but.
No, but that also depends, though, on the Mountain West has some money to play with.
Yeah.
They have some cash. And so what does that look like? If the presidents in the Mountain West really want North Texas, just to put one out there, I don't know that, but then what do you say to North Texas? Here's, you know, we'll pay this, we'll pay that, you'll get this, we'll get that. I mean, that's the way it works. That's what they did for UNLV to keep UNLV. Is they guaranteed
Air Force,
$10 million a year for, was it 10 years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yep. And McMurphy said 1 school, not adding 2. He said that last week on that. So
I don't know that that's unanimous either.
Yeah. Just give us an answer. It's going to be a little bit.
This is a complicated process. Yep.
We got to take a break. We come back. Well, speaking of complicated, the determining who's going to be the top 4 seeds. We'll ask Mike that as the Bison into Vermilion. We'll preview the matchup with the Bison and the Coyotes when Hot Mike rolls on. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike wrapping up our first hour. You had another brilliant night at Sunset Lanes, huh? 219? Did I see that right? What was your final score?
Is this a surprise? Or
well, your tweet phrased it as such because the first 2 games weren't great. And then you rallied.
First 2 games were awful.
Rallied in the third.
Then I rallied in the third. And it's like a game of golf, right? You stink for the first 17 holes and you're going to quit. And you hate the game and everything else. And then the last game, the last hole, you birdie, and then you come back for more. So that's what happened to me at Sunset Lanes last night. By the way, there was a gentleman I walked through the bar to go home, and there was a gentleman sitting at the bar at Sunset, and he said, "Hey, you going to be on the air tomorrow morning?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Hey, I watch all the time.
Nice.
I watch you guys all the time."
All right.
So
hello.
I didn't get that gentleman's name. I apologize, gentleman who was... maybe I shouldn't put it out there because maybe his wife didn't know he was at the bar at Sunset Lanes. But
thanks for watching.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Email comes in. Dom, forget recency bias. Missouri State just didn't pass the eye test against the top of the league. I'm curious as to why you think they would give the other 2 teams at the top of the league that do pass the eye test in South Dakota and South Dakota State a good game. Are you sure you're evaluating them accurately? I'd like to see the game between Mo State and South Dakota. I know how this game's going to go. South Dakota State's going to rout the Bears, I would imagine.
South Dakota would kill
You think
them.
so, too?
Oh, God.
Defensively, they're not good.
The line of scrimmage was going 5 yards backwards for much of the game. And so that, to me, is... And they're missing their 2 starting safeties are out. I mean, they had and again, in his press conference yesterday, Beard was saying, we're going to have to patch this together for one more game. So I think South Dakota would run right through them.
Speaking of which, the Coyotes, is it recency bias for Bison fans? The last time they saw USD... NDSU ran right through them in 45-17 last year.
They got to be careful there. That was a whole different situation. I think the Yotes are pretty good. I mean, I said this at the time, but I thought the second half of the South Dakota State game, I thought the Yotes were the better, more physical
team. I agree with that.
They lost the game, but I thought that they looked just like the better team in that one half.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean they're the better team.
They lost the game because they were bizarre in what they did offensively.
They had numerous chances to score touchdowns, and
Yep.
they just didn't. And
Yep.
and so I think that they're good. I think the Yotes are good. They're legit. I had my questions coming into this season after watching them just get rolled last year down in Vermilion. Well, same old. I think they're good. They're strong up front on both sides of the ball. Travis Tice is a guy who, like a lot of them, is 47 years old and his 23rd year in the league.
This guy's good. Charles Pierre Jr. is really good.
Yeah, he's a home run hitter, but boy, Travis Tice just runs so hard.
Yep.
I don't know the status of the tight end. He did not play the last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's been out. Yep.
I would assume that if he can play, he's going to play on Saturday.
All-American tight end.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yep.
And so the quarterback is I think some in South Dakota have referred to him as a game manager. I think he's better than that. Aiden Bauman's good. He's not mobile. He's not going to run.
He can't move.
He's not, and last year North Dakota State got after him and punished him. Aiden Bauman, I thought
knocked him out of the game.
I thought took a couple blows to the head last year that could have kept him out of the game.
I was sitting there right next to you. I thought the same thing.
I mean, and he did leave the game for a couple series and then came back in. But wow, did they beat the heck out of him last year? And that's the key. It's always the same. They got to stop the run. I mean, if you don't stop the run, it doesn't matter. The quarterback doesn't matter.
Nope.
I mean, so they have to stop the run. And if they do stop the run, the Bison are going to have to put pressure on Bauman because, like all quarterbacks, if you can't stand back there and pick guys out, you're not going to be as successful. And they need to pressure him and make him move around, move his feet, get on the run. They're good enough. They're still going to make some plays, but you just, make it a 17-14 game, and you got a shot.
Bison defensive line, I think, has been the most surprising position group, in my opinion, of how well they played this year. I think that you didn't know much there. You knew the most starts were there. You didn't know much. Cody Heisman's been just a godsend for him
I would
up the
say
middle
the
there.
offensive line, to me, has been that as well.
Okay. With three new starters there.
The center's really been good.
Fraley's been awesome.
Fraley's been outstanding. And so is Empey, but Fraley's the one that to me it's like, well, you're replacing Westberg and then Sundell before that, and that's a couple pretty good guys that have been in the program for a long time. Trent is a transfer. Didn't really know how this was going to go. And have you noticed the center?
Not one iota.
Has there been a bad snap? Has there been a fumbled snap? Has there been like a situation where they weren't in the right places or in the right? I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job. Just to my naked amateur eye.
I would agree with that, and the way they've played up front has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, for all that we spent talking about it for about 4.5 months, and Polisic will remind me of that all the time.
But whatever. I mean,
they had three new starters. What are you going to talk about?
And none of them had played before.
No.
And then they're young guys.
Correct.
By the way.
The Bison are likely going to have Raja Nelson available in this game, which I think, granted, the wide receivers have been really good, but then you add a guy like him into the mix, that's a different element for USD.
He was pretty important in the South Dakota State game.
I checked. He was all right
in
that game,
did a couple of plays in that game that were important. Yeah.
He was important in that one. But that, to me, there's another element there. The last thing I'll ask on this game, and I want to talk about potential seeding. Bison fans have always flocked there. It's never really been a home field advantage for USD. And I think the same thing may happen again Saturday.
Well, there's going to be a good number of fans there. I mean, I think what we learned last year in the playoff game was that the Yotes fans they were fine, but they got taken out of the game like within a minute. I mean, it was
14-0
for
anybody sat down.
That was just like, and so they just didn't ever get into the game. But if it's a tight game, like the
game of the Dome was
the SDSU game.
Oh, that one
this year, or the USD SDSU game in Brookings. If it's a game like that where it's 13-9 or overtime, the crowd is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
It's a small place, like 10,000, but they are on top of you and it's enclosed.
To that point, if it is an overtime game that the Coyotes win, where would you put the Bison come Sunday morning?
To me, they still have to be 3, but I mean, I could see them getting knocked down to 4.
Could you have an argument at 2? Could you keep them could you drop them to 2? So, because they lost to the fourth-ranked team
though. Yeah, but they
in
lost,
overtime.
but they recency bias though. You lost the game, and so you're sharing the conference title with the team you lost to, and another one, by the way.
Yep. But you beat them.
You did.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the top 4 for sure.
Yeah, I think 3 is probably accurate.
I think 3 is probably. I think it'd just be tough for the committee to put them at 2.
So the Jacks would then be at 4. Imagine that. Then South Dakota State, Montana State would be a semifinal.
It's
those 4, right? There's nobody else among that.
No.
Is there anybody of that's not in those 4 that can make Frisco in your mind?
Unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see. I don't see it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what South Dakota looks like. And if the Bison, what if the Bison win by 2 touchdowns?
Okay, then.
Then it's like, well, then NDSU is going to get the top seed, and USD might get the 4th or 5th seed.
I think they're drop out of the top 8. I would not have them. I would put. They'd have 3 losses. They'd have 7 Division I wins.
But you just said though that these 4 teams are the only ones that can get to Frisco.
I know, but I don't know how the committee would do that.
So you're contradicting your own self.
Yes, but I don't know how the committee would justify having an 8-3 team ahead of
because they're better than the other teams.
Ahead of Mercer, ahead of SEMO.
South Dakota would beat
Idaho.
Mercer by 500 points. So then what? Then why do we have a committee if they're not going to make decisions? Mercer got beat by Samford like 55-20.
They gave up quite a few.
It's like that.
Yep.
It's like the game. There's a game last year like that.
Wofford beat Furman the last game of the season.
Like killed them.
Wofford was winless heading into that game.
And Furman did not get punished.
No, they did not.
They're missing their quarterback. Well, okay. You just got beat by a winless team.
I
can't, Mercer, whatever, good for them. They're having the last 2 years are going to be a playoff team. If you get beat 55 to whatever it was by I think Samford has a losing record.
They do not have a winning record this year. Nope.
So then that to me that you can't put them ahead of South Dakota, even if South Dakota loses by say 2 touchdowns or 10 points.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just South Dakota they'd just maul them. They'd kill them.
Going to be fascinating to see how it plays out on Davis in the mix. Did you give Davis? I mean, they lost by 2 at home to Montana State.
Yeah, and they came back. They fell behind and came back, and they showed some grit there.
It was 30-8, and they rallied in that game.
I mean, we were watching, and I just like, wow, this is going to be just a boat race. And then they hung in there. But you lost at home, and you fell behind 30-8.
All right. Thanks for the update on everything. Appreciate that, and we'll see you on Saturday down in Vermillion. It'll be fun.
Yes.
Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday. Joins us here on Hot Mike. We'll break. We come back. Did we see the last edition of the Paint Bucket game? Jamestown won it. Jimmy's getting ready for the NSIC. We'll chat about that when Hour 2 of Hot Mike begins after this.